Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Every episode is about a different movie. We go over, review, and talk about, just kind of do like a chat about each movie. And then, of course, each movie is picked by one of our members. And then, of course, we have at the end of it all a fan vote that comes up, which happens during Tay's recommendation, which will be next episode. So keep your ears and eyes tuned in because we'll be announcing the next 4 movies that'll be in the vote next episode. But if you want to join in on the fan vote, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, Yemmy the Ferret, and you can comment on the latest episode of Film Freak with a Z, or you can talk in my Discord, Ferret Nation Discord, in the movie section and recommend a movie there, or last but not least, you can send us an email at ff.filmfreaks@gmail.com. Before we introduce the movie, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I am Yemmy the Ferret, a.k.a. Yemmy. Who am I here with?
Hello, it's Grady Waffle.
Taymation.
Coco Gamer.
How are we all doing this week?
I'm not doing bad. How are you?
Not bad at all.
It's not been a great week for me, but that's kind of par for the course for this year.
Exhausted.
Now, I know I'm a bit late to this, but everyone got visited by the Easter Bunny this year?
No.
I did.
They sent Yemmy. He sent Randy pics, so it seems like a good deal.
I didn't get no Easter basket specifically for me, but we did get candy, so I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's still worth it.
Yeah, that's on the win column there, huh? All right, well, Greedy Waffles, aka Nick, chose this episode's movie. What'd you give us?
So this week I chose Godzilla from 2014, directed by Gareth Edwards, written by David Callahan, Max Bornstein. And so, brief description: Ford Brady, a naval bomb expert, has just reunited with his family in San Francisco when he is forced to go to Japan to help his father, Joe. Soon, both men are swept in an escalating crisis when an ancient alpha predator arises from the sea to combat adversaries that threaten the survival of humanity. The creatures have destruction in their wake. Oh, that's a typo. As they make their way towards their final battleground, San Francisco. So, who's in the movie? Some of the cast: Aaron Taylor Johnson, he plays Ford Brady. Elizabeth Olsen, also known as the Scarlet Witch. Bryan Cranston, Ken Watanabe, Sally Hawkins, and a few others. Nobodies, pretty much.
Ooh.
What? Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, they're not nobodies, but we'll move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, David Steinhelm.
It's okay. Well, it's okay.
Alright, so I really don't have a starting point, but I guess there's a common theme with these type of movies, that, there's too much human interaction. And I want to start there, I guess, because every human interaction in this movie, I just wanted to, pull my eyeballs out, because especially with Ken Wannabe, I swear his whole role in this movie was just to stare, literally, every time it was oh, there he is staring. I know he had a bigger role, but it was just
So,
yeah.
my thoughts on it, I wouldn't be so upset with all the human interactions if we got more monster fighting. Every time a monster fight was about to begin, they cut away from it. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, as soon as the action was kind of getting interesting, they would either have a door close, or they would just cut away to something else, or it'd be on TV. The action's happening on TV, and the kids watching it. But yeah, I do agree. I think that I guess compared to the movie that comes after this one, the human stuff wasn't as bad as that one, but it's still pretty bad. I mean, especially with the kid. I think his name is Sam. I thought his acting was pretty subpar. and Elizabeth Olsen like didn't really do anything. She was just kind of like at the wrong place at the wrong time throughout the entire movie. Like all you know, you see Godzilla fighting one of the monsters, and all of a sudden it zooms down. There she is, just cowering in a building. It's like, oh, well,
Yeah, she's
how'd you get there?
Melly Brown of the new movie, pretty much. Like, why is she in there? But yeah, I mean, one scene to spot is when Godzilla and the big monster is first introduced, and they're on the train or the speed rail, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it was like they, scream at each other, the two monsters, and then it goes back to the humans. I'm like, oh, what?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like they're about to clash, and then as like they clashed, it went somewhere else. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
See, that's one thing I actually liked more about King of Monsters is, like, yeah, there was the human stuff, but at least we got the monster fights. Like, I feel like if this movie was a half hour longer and they gave us all the monster fights, it would have been perfectly fine. I would have accepted a half hour extra if it meant I got to see some monster fights.
Well, I mean, I think that the fighting that we did see was pretty good for the most part.
Yeah,
like when he's fighting like the flying guy, and that was pretty cool how he like slammed him against the building like a bug. It was kind of funny. And then of course the big climactic ending where he's like shooting the fire like straight into the thing's mouth is pretty cool too. But yeah, there definitely wasn't like enough of that because it was mostly just the two. What were they called? The two monsters. They were Mudos. It was just pretty much them like walking almost the entire time, and they're just kind of like they're ignoring everything else. They're just trying to get to the midway point, right? And then there was Godzilla like swimming for the most of it, and then he has that big. I mean, he has a bigger part during the ending, but yeah, I think like I think that the character of Ford is like even more ridiculous to how he ends up in all these situations. Like just because he's a part of the army, they're like putting him on all these missions, and all of a sudden now he's parachuting in, and then he's on the train delivering the bomb, and he's everywhere too, like at the right time as well.
Special force. So,
there were so many
force, like it's access to everything. So.
Yeah.
There were so many scenes like that were so pointless, like the parachuting in, and then the one where he was waking up and they're at the bomb all of a sudden. It's like, why?
Yeah, that part where they're like parachuting in with like the red flares coming off of them. I had the poster of that in my old room for like the entire time that I lived in my condo, because it was like such a cool scene. Like nothing really happened in the scene other than they got through and then they dropped in, but like the cinematography at that part, and I know it was probably mostly all CG, but it looked really pretty, and I liked the visual that it did. But but like Nick said, it was kind of more or less pointless because once they land, it's like, well, does that scene really matter?
Well, it's over.
Yeah, it's over. It's over so fast.
I will say the cinematography for this movie, like the entire movie, was really good.
And I think the director kind of wanted to make it so that the monsters were kind of like little snips and pieces, I think that's what he claimed. But I don't know, like I don't know if it would still work even if there was more monster fighting. Like Tay said, like if there's extra 30 minutes onto this movie and it's not all just monsters fighting, it's more human stuff, I think I would like this movie less. I'm glad that it ended at like the 2-hour mark, because I was starting to get a little squirmish in my chair.
It's like, come on, give us, like, we want monster fights. This is like one of the reasons we're watching this.
Like, I think one of the most important, or one of the most interesting parts of this movie is like the opening credits scene, because it's kind of like setting everything up. But after that, it just becomes a bit of a slog,
Yeah, it does.
Boring.
I mean, some of the stuff is interesting, like when they're inspecting the giant bones, and when Bryan Cranston and Ford are walking through like the old city. It's got some cool visuals there, but not really until after the egg hatches does it like start to get at least a little bit more interesting. So like you're not just sitting there going, is there supposed to be monsters in this movie or what?
There was a lot of like scenes where it was just like the military going point A to point B. I was just like, okay, okay, they crossed the street. Now what? Oh, they're going in the building. Okay, now what? It's just like, okay.
Yeah, I think there might have been too much of a focus on what the military was doing, because I mean they were shooting them with like the basic assault rifles, and it's like
Pistols, too.
once you get through like the first clip of ammunition, doesn't it seem like it doesn't really matter what you shoot, what you're doing?
Yeah.
I just saw there was one scene that didn't make me laugh. It's like when Godzilla's just walking and he just like shoot at him and he slowly roll with the guns, just scared because that did nothing.
Yeah. Well, the scene that makes me laugh is the part where Ford pulls out a pistol and he's like aiming it at the thing, like the ending of Saving Private Ryan, except he doesn't fire anything, but he looks at his gun like he did something with it.
Yeah.
I just started laughing because it's like, this is so stupid. It's so cliche. You know?
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe like that was an editing mistake. Like there was supposed to be like a CGI gunfire or something.
Yeah, like
That's why he looked at it. So like, oh, it did something, but he didn't.
Yeah,
do
like
anything.
there's no gunshot or anything, so it's like, well, we know he didn't shoot, and we know it's Godzilla. Like, we probably knew it would be Godzilla in the first place, but still, it's like, well, the scene doesn't really make too much sense if he looks at his gun. Like, it's like, one, you have the gun, so you know you didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get to the ending, but what do you guys think of like
dead.
what do you guys think of the whole bridge scene? Because I thought that was a little cringe.
The Golden
especially
Gate
with the,
Bridge scene?
Yeah, especially with the school bus. But
Yeah, I found it funny that like that bus driver was the only one who was like, I'm getting off this bridge, and he like saved the kids. I'm like, there's like 15 other buses on this bridge, and they're all just gonna sit there and pretty much. I mean, they don't. The movie doesn't want to say it, but all those kids died. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Yeah, I did notice this movie, and not just this movie, like all the Godzilla movies, they tend to show kids a lot to get you a little more invested, like, oh, what's gonna happen to the kid? And then there's that tsunami scene where the little girl notices tsunami, they're all running, and then you see them run into a building and everyone else dies, and then the window starts cracking and it cuts away. You're like, what? They died too.
Yeah.
Yes, there's no way that. But still, there's no way that grass is holding.
I just like when she's looking at the water. It's just such a long. It felt like a long scene of her just slowly walking over to where the water used to be, and it's receding, and then she points her finger and goes, "Dad," and it's like this could have been. It could have been cut out of the movie.
It could have been
so much better.
All you have to do is like show the water coming down, and people at the roofs. It's like, okay, we get what's going on.
Yeah.
But that's what I was
the alarm
saying
going off
earlier. Is like with all those scenes they're just staring. It's like when they first go into the caves and they're on the train for some reason, and the guy like wanders off to stare down the hall or like down the train tracks, and then. There's just so many. I mean, yeah, I get it. You see the Queen's hideout, and you see her little couch or whatever. Yeah, maybe you would stare, but
egg sack.
Yeah, they show that like 5 times. But
they really
it was
wanted
just
to see
like
Sean.
it was just so like just staring. It was just like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Going back to the bridge scene, I don't know about you guys, but I think I like the destruction of the Golden Gate Bridge in the 90s Godzilla movie that like everyone hates. I think I like it a little bit more than this one because there was a little bit more going on, and it was a little bit longer of a scene. I don't know if you guys remember that scene, but I think
I don't
remember.
Well,
I should have watched it. But...
Well, you don't. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I think it's like I think it's a fun little movie to watch. I mean, come on, the guy's name is who's the main character is like funny too. But anyway, I do like coming from. I don't know if anyone who's listening to this is going to agree with me, but I do think that there's many things the 90s movie does wrong, but the one thing that it does right is that Golden Gate Bridge scene where Godzilla crashes through it and there's a bunch of stuff happening. And I think that's one of the better scenes. I also think it's I think that 90s Godzilla movie does a little bit better job of like showing like the military stuff too. I don't want to stick on it too long since you guys don't even remember, but I do think that it did a little bit better job of showing like the military upgrading their arsenal to try and match Godzilla. Where in this movie it's like, oh, we have light gunfire and we have tanks, and all of a sudden we do have a train full of nukes. But it wasn't like a gradual upgrade. Like they thought in the 90s movie, they were like, oh, we have light fire. light arms fire, and then they're like, okay, we get the tanks out. All right, we get the attack choppers. Okay, now we get the SAM turrets, and it kind of keeps upgrading. Where in this one, it's just like they're at a baseline of like tanks and light arms fire, and that's pretty much it for the whole movie.
It would have been better if they did like gradually upgrade, so it makes sense. Like it would make sense, like them trying out first, because they have no idea about anything about this guy. I'm just about the Godzilla and them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much about the '98 movie. I have to rewatch it. Get back to you.
So, I do remember one thing that bugged me. Well, there was a few little things. So,
Makes sense.
one they kept like Ken Watanabe, or however his name, he mispronounced Nevada, which is fine because he has an accent. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then everybody started saying Nevada, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, shut up! You guys are supposedly from California. You should know how to say this. It's
I didn't even
Nevada.
notice that.
I didn't notice
Well,
either.
when you live here, you notice.
Yeah. I guess so.
But the other thing was they they did it twice, where they like to show like famous locations, so like Mount Fuji in Japan, and then like the Las Vegas Strip in Nevada, and then they should like the main set piece. So like in Japan, it was a nuclear power plant, and then in Nevada, it was Yucca Mountain. Both of those things, like we looked it up, and the nearest power plant to Fuji Mountain is 200 miles away. So you wouldn't probably be able to see Mount Fuji from it. And you definitely can't see Yucca Mountain or see the strip from Yucca Mountain. They are quite a ways away.
Well, the world gets a little bit smaller in movies,
Yeah. Well, I understand why they did it, where there's like, oh, they're trying to, show, oh, look, there's the strip. Oh, no, it's heading there. But I don't know. It's just a little funny where it's just like, technically you can't see these things from those places, but okay, that's fine.
I do think it's funny that on like a random monitor they showed the Eiffel Tower being taken down by one of the monsters. It's like just fuck France for no reason.
No, that's the Eiffel Tower
that's
in
why
Vegas.
I didn't get it.
Oh, that was the one in Vegas? Oh,
yeah, that's the Eiffel Tower in Vegas.
All right, it makes more sense now.
But still, it's like, of all things, he doesn't randomly just destroy buildings. He just looks for radiation. He's just like, nope, just take the Eiffel Tower down.
That one he really was like, ah.
Yeah, well, at the time it was just like going like straight for San Francisco. So
yeah,
I guess the Eiffel Tower was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to. Like, remember when they were like looking for the radiation scene? When they were, I can't remember the island of where they went, but they were it was like they like open this hatch and it's like reveals just the daylight. I just felt this scene was like a little because I'm like, one thing this is giant like marks leading way to the water. So it seems like it was a little obvious, even if you didn't come from that area, that there was something off.
Are you talking about the scene where like
Yucca
they see
Mountain?
like the hole in the like the
Yeah, the hole in the
It's
like
before people
radiation
really
area.
know-
Yeah, that's Yucca Mountain. So that's the Nevada scene.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they had it was a cocoon when they stored it in there, and then since it hatched, it broke free through the wall and made a beeline towards Vegas, and that was them finding that out. But I agree. Like, I mean, I feel like there would have been like a helicopter flying around, and they would have very obviously seen. Oh, there's a
Yeah, there was a helicopter that just it was on the opposite side of safe because they were like, oh look, it's looking for radiation. So they checked one of the things. Radiation's still in there, which surprises me. But and then just like it opens up, like you see like a bright light, they all come to it, and it opens up, showing that it's whatever it took it's heading to the water. Think
Well,
it was Godzilla?
yeah, it's just dumb because like they made a point like these things go after radioactive stuff, and it's like it was in a vault full of radioactive stuff. Why wasn't it feeding on all that stuff first?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't that difficult to get.
Unless it was more not going for the radioactive stuff, it was heading towards its mates. It went,
Possibly. He
screw
could
the
just, like,
radioactive stuff. I need to lay these eggs.
Yeah. Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Eggs that got destroyed pretty fast.
Yeah. which was crazy because he filled it with gasoline and it hit the fire and then it exploded instead of just the gasoline lighting on fire like it would.
Well, maybe there was a gas
Gasoline
line
does
or
it all the
something.
Maybe there could have been. I guess you're right.
Well, I do appreciate it that they didn't like hang on it for too long. Like they showed the eggs, they get the bomb out of there. I just find it weird that like none of the other army soldiers would want to destroy these eggs with him.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even like say anything. They were just like, "Yep, this is pretty normal," and then they left. I understand like the bomb was ticking down, but I mean, even as a normal person, I'd be like, "Hey, let's destroy these eggs."
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, he said he could disarm the bomb in a minute, and there was still like 20 minutes, like almost a half hour at that point. And like, oh, we can't get this thing open. We'll have to pry it open. Like, we don't have time for that. Let's get it out of here. It's like,
you kind of do.
He could get that thing open in about 5 minutes, and then he could disarm it in 1.
Yeah, don't soldiers used to carry around like a crowbar, or they have like bolt cutters or something? Like
they have stuff, and it's like. It's just like
we didn't plan for the doors to be bent. Ah, fuck.
It's like we can't have the characters be able to get it easily. We have it more dramatic.
Yeah, it's maybe the parachutes can't handle the weight of an extra crowbar or something.
One extra crowbar, that's all they need, really.
Also, what was the point of the snipers on the buildings? They made like a point in like the movie for like to show them on the buildings, and they also made it a point to like mention them a few times, like, oh, the snipers are ready. It's like, what are they doing again?
What are they gonna do?
The same thing as the guys with the M4s on the ground.
Yeah.
Die. They're gonna die.
I would like to say that there are some really cool shots in the movie. I think we already kind of mentioned it a little bit, but besides from this part where they're parachuting in, there's that part where like Godzilla is in the smoke and his tail like whips around. I thought that was pretty cool. But one of the shots that I really hated was when Godzilla gets knocked out and then Ford gets knocked out at the same time. I just thought that was pretty cringe, not gonna lie.
I get them like trying to show like the connection between them. Like they're like pretty similar. But
they have such a good connection, Coco, that Ford doesn't appear in any of the other movies.
Yep.
Yeah. No, he was smart, and he went, fam, we're moving to a place where it's less likely that these things will kill us.
Space.
Well, no, because that's where Ghidorah's from.
Oh, shit. But yeah, I felt like that scene was just like, once again, it's another like cliche in the movie where it's like, oh, the hero and this person are connected, and they're doing the same thing at the same time, even though they're two vastly different characters. And it's like, at that point, you're like, dude, this is a giant lizard.
Like, there's no similarity between them two.
Yeah. I thought it was... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Are you talking about the scene where Godzilla, like, goes down with, like, the building falling on him, or he just...
I don't remember where exactly it happened, but I just remember him, like, being on the ground, and then, him and Ford are staring at each other, and they both kind of get knocked out at the same time, and then the smoke, like... covers his face or whatever, so you can't see him anymore.
That's right before the scene where he pulls the pistol out.
No,
that was right after.
That was before he went to the boat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing that bugged me. Like, he wakes up and starts the boat, and then doesn't even like attempt to get off the boat. He's just like, well, I guess I'll die.
But just swim. It's like
he's pretty injured at that point, if I remember correctly.
True,
although
it's
he's gotten through other things like jumping off of a railway bridge that obviously would either break his legs or end his life.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like he could have hit the thing and then just rolled off the boat and then just kind of back floated in the bay for a little bit and been fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Greedy is our resident medical expert. If you jump from a height that high off of that railroad bridge, what would happen?
The water is pretty much concrete at that point.
I mean, if you point your toes down, you can kind of pencil in. Depends on how deep the water is. I mean, I didn't mind that scene. You would be more worried about that train falling on you.
True.
Or there was like tons of junk in the water too. It's like, what if you land on a tank?
Just come down.
Then you'll be dead.
Shoot. Up, you're dead.
But if you just go in and get your points toes pointed. You should be able to say
Toins
that.
ported.
Yeah, toes pointed.
Well, yeah, and the water technically wasn't still water, which still water is would be hard because everything was falling in it, so it was choppy. So it wouldn't have like surface tension, as much surface tension.
Yeah. Did
Now if he
anyone
like
else
belly flop, that would have.
Oh yeah,
hey mom, watch this. Did anyone get spooked by the 2 jump scares in this movie?
there were jump scares.
Yeah,
There was
there was a
what?
scene where the tank like rides up onto the ridge.
And then the bird.
Yeah, the
Coming.
bird
Oh, yeah,
on,
the
on
bird.
the
When
window.
the kids were looking out the window.
Yeah.
Once the kids looking out the window were kind of expected. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
something's gonna happen. And then
Ominous birds. Cliche.
Ominous birds.
Birds.
The tank one got me by surprise because I wasn't I totally forgot about it. It just all it does is it like hits the side of the river and then floats away. And I'm like, wait, was there a tank like driving? What? Because it made like a noise too, like a loud like driving noise. I'm like, is this thing driving or is it dead or what the heck happened? It just kind of gave me a startle because I wasn't expecting it there.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So I guess it must have not scared me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember like a riddle, just so it's like nothing special.
So going back to what Yemmy said about the doing a lot of good things, I really do like how they portrayed like these monsters to be smart. What what was the spider things called again?
Muto.
The Muto.
Yeah, I like how they picked up or used the EMP. I think it was that, right? Or
Yeah, it was
that
an EMP.
Well, they
No, yeah, there was
continuously. I think it was only the was it only the
Female. There's
female
only
could do the
female.
EMP thing?
Yeah,
No, the male could
Pretty
too.
sure. But the male could fly, so that
No,
was
the,
his
the male
ability.
could do the EMP stuff because he was doing it when he broke free. He was the first one to break
Oh, that's
free.
true. That's true.
Oh, I thought that was the female version. Oh no,
No,
you're right because it
the
does.
female
It
was in
flies
Nevada.
out of there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But I
no, they
do
like
like
to do EMPs, which is why they had to jump down because they had to get a plane above the EMP.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well-
like you said, Godzilla, smacking a home run into that one monster.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
great.
I like how it's like how we would like squish a bug, you know.
Well, I like the little face that Godzilla. He like looks at it and he's like, "Okay, this is what I'm gonna do," and then he just turn around and just smacks him.
Yeah.
But that being said, I would have liked to see Godzilla like. Not, I don't want to say blood, but like maybe a little puncture holes here and there because that Godzilla got his
Yeah,
stabbed
he
a couple
did.
times.
And you didn't see anything like wrong with him though.
Yeah, like when it happened, you would see like the legs going into him, but afterwards you wouldn't see any damage on the body that I can remember.
And I don't
Yeah.
know if that's like his like nuclear power, like
Well, he's got thick
he went
skin.
almost on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's got thick skin, and it might just be it was dark, so you couldn't really see him.
True.
Or maybe they just decided to make it a little cheaper and not add battle wounds.
I also like
Yeah.
the first reveal of the dragon breath. I think that was pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was such a
In the
cool
darkness,
reveal.
yeah.
Because he was just
Yeah.
in the fog and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I got this."
Hey.
Yeah, it's like his tail like just slaps him, and you just see it slowly right through him. Like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see it like loading up into his tail and goes up into his body. Kind
Yeah.
of cool.
Yep, and of course the big finale with going straight down the throat is pretty cool. When I watched this, I think the only other time I watched this movie was in the theater. I didn't notice that like the head had been decapitated with it. I think that was a pretty cool detail too.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that the first time around when I watched it, and I was like, oh wait, and I'm just it was like looking at it. Oh, that's decapitated. That's new.
But yeah, that was
I
cool.
I thought he was just gonna rip it apart, like maybe because
King
I just
Kong?
seen Godzilla versus Kong, but
Yeah, that was a big thing in Peter Jackson's King Kong. King Kong would like snap the T-Rex's jaw open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
That's
that
part
was
of
going
just
to happen
King
too.
Kong's fighting style is go for the jaws, and because he does it apparently in the newer ones too.
Oh yeah.
So
That is true.
it's just it's his thing.
It's his MO.
and I feel like there was a good amount of use of the laser breath or whatever you want to call it. Like
The atomic
I'm glad-
breath.
yeah, I'm glad he wasn't spamming it like he was in the. I don't want to say, but
Well,
um,
you got to remember 2 movies from now, he's charged up with like a nuke in the second movie.
yeah, that's true. Yep,
So,
yep.
I understand him using it like so much in the third one. So,
Yeah,
Yep.
he uses it quite a bit in the
100%.
second one too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that
like this one, he
just-
just woke up from a 50-year nap, so it takes
Well,
him a
he
while
doesn't
to.
know how to use it too much though.
Yeah, remember, he has to remember. He's like, oh yeah, I've got this thing.
Yeah. And you've seen
Or
the third
maybe-
one, he's just mastered it basically.
Yeah, or maybe it was just like, hey, I don't have the energy to do this yet. But after walking around and fighting these things, because they let off radiation too, he's kind of like,
Mhm.
yeah, I've got enough in the tank.
I do like that it's not like the be all end all though. It's not like when he does
Mhm.
it, they like it slices through them and they die immediately.
No,
Unlike in Pacific Rim when the Jaeger pulls out the sword and just starts slicing things left and right. It's like, okay, there's the OP weapon that they probably should have used from the beginning.
Yeah,
In this case, it's okay, so Godzilla has this like, special ability, but it's not like it's a OP, type thing. It's something it's more or less used to distract them in this one, I would think.
Yeah.
Cuz I mean, sure it hurts him, but
Mhm.
I think it's more of a like he could do this, so I need to be a little more tactical full, whatever you want to say.
yeah.
It's more of a ranged weapon than than a actual like weapon.
Well, it's an actual weapon too, but
Well, again, you know what I mean.
And my final question, maybe just kind of scratch my head a little bit, is how did Godzilla sneak up on the Queen at the end? That's what
Because she was too busy worrying about her burned eggs.
I guess so.
well,
She
also
was
she was
staring
like
at
going
Ford,
for she was going
Yeah.
for the bomb
So I guess
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
because that was
still,
giving off
he
the
is
radiation.
very big and loud.
Yeah. Well, she also went for Ford because she figured Ford's the one who killed her eggs, so she wanted revenge.
Yeah. I mean, it's logical to think that, but I mean, this is like a huge monster, and he was like one singular dude.
But
I
they
think she
showed
was more or less
him,
just going for the nuke because they were like addicted to the nuclear radiation.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it just showed, this couple scenes before, Godzilla, taking a nap or whatever. They had the idea for him, and then all of a sudden he's behind the Queen.
He took a power nap,
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
Any comments about the CG in the movie? Because I think for the most part it held up pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
good. I like
does.
Godzilla's design. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's really good.
The design is pretty cool. I do like this design much better than the 90s one.
Yeah.
There was a few,
Obviously, as we know now, the 90s one has been kind of the 90s monster has
Yeah.
been destroyed, but
Yeah.
I do like the design of this one because the 90s one was more like a dinosaur kind of they were going
It was
for.
supposed to be an iguana.
Yeah, or something like that. And this one, he just looks like a badass motherfucker,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it keeps the original design of like the guy in the suit, but updates it and makes it look really cool
yeah.
instead of a guy in the suit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the CG held up pretty well in it. And I think also a lot of the practical stuff was good too. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, like the city they walk through, it's not all just green screen. There's they actually had like this set built for it, for some things, not all things, and even the stuff that was CG looked pretty good. I mean, I could nitpick about like the sweeping shots where it's like the plants are CG'd onto the buildings and stuff like that, but I think for the most part, the movie holds up in terms of CG and visual quality.
There's a few spots where, the explosions on Godzilla's skin kind of, it's like, oh, you could see it, but nothing like, oh my God,
Oh, when
And
he's
nothing
going
too
in the
bad.
water too,
Yeah.
you can kind of see where the CG starts and like the actual, or the rest of the water is kind of like that. But it's nothing like so outrageous that I'd be like, oh my God, let me write a 5-page paragraph about this. Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, one of my moments, when they are sky screaming down, like basically right next to Godzilla's eye, really cool scene.
Yeah, we already mentioned that though.
Yeah, I just well not exactly that moment though too. Anyway though, but just saying CG, so I figured I'd bring it up.
I do hate that they went to like a first person view on that.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
really
point.
like it when they have like the goggles and the fucking breathing, you know.
Mhm.
Also, I understand that you know, it's a lot of fast air going past you and all that, but there were actually a few scenes in this movie where like you couldn't like hear Godzilla do his roar even though you were like right up in his face because like, oh, he has goggles and a helmet on. He can't hear it too well. I think you'll be able to hear it pretty well no matter what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was like the only thing that kind of really was a pet peeve of mine for that. Because like those goggle things, like yeah, you're obscuring, you're doing a first person view. This is so intense, right? No, it just kind of looks lazy. Yeah.
What you gonna do though?
true.
All right. Well, anything else for Godzilla 2014, guys?
I'm good.
No, yeah, I'm just glad that this movie came out so that it could pave the way for bigger and better ones after it.
Yeah.
All right. Ready for our final review?
Final thoughts and rating.
Yes.
Lead us off.
All right. So Godzilla 2014. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun little setup movie for the new one. If you seen the new Godzilla versus Kong, um, I did find it a little boring in the beginning, a little tough at scenes, and it was just like, yeah, maybe could have done without the kid a little bit. Some scenes are cool. The when they're down in the basement with the where the queen was setting up her hive and all that. Some of those were cool, but a little too much character or human interaction. Some scenes like when Godzilla was first introduced, you're about to clash with the other monster and it
Mm.
goes to something else. A lot of that. But overall, I'm gonna give this movie, I'll give it a 3 out of 5. 3.5, 3.5. I'll give it a three and a
Ooh,
half.
all right, 3.5. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that, like Nick said, it is a good setup for the rest of the new monster universe thing. Obviously, the movie that came after this one, which was the King of Monsters or whatever, was not as good as this one, but I think this one's still, it's a fairly good watch. The first half is a slog to get through, and I like, Bryan Cranston is like killed in like the first 30 minutes of the movie, and like his whole entire character arc is like thrown away for Ford, which I don't know about you guys, but I felt like he was like a blank slate. Like you could have anyone in that role, and it would have done the same job with it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Just the fact that all these human characters are in the wrong place at the wrong time, but in the right place for the story-wise thing to happen. I just hate that. And then, yeah, there's a lot of cool scenes in it, and there's really nice visuals, and the CG holds up. But I could really do like this movie. Like was the cream of the crop when it came to, and what can we do with the humans now? Oh yes, the reactions of the humans, and blah 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 blah. So there's a lot of also like unnecessary like character stuff in there. Like there's that little kid on the train, and like that story plot is like completely like. It's so easily rectified because like once Ford and him get to the next stop, his parents are just there. So it's like, oh, I guess we don't have to worry about this kid anymore. But yeah, I think I'm gonna give this one a 2.5. 2.5 out of 5.
2.5. All right. Well, like I said, I mean, most of it's all been said. I really enjoyed the cinematography. I think the CGI was great. Yeah, there was a few things where they focused a little too much on the humans. It would have been fine, like I said, if they had just given us a little bit more of the monster fight instead of cutting away every time one started. But overall, I still really enjoyed the movie. I think it's a fun movie. And unlike Game, I actually think King of Monsters is a better movie. But overall, I'd give this a 3.5 as well.
All
All
right.
right. Sorry. Alright, well, I can be your terms. Like the CGI, I don't have a problem with it. It held up. Didn't really see like I guess saw like one moment we have. It's like when he's on the water, you can clearly see the CGI is just not holding up in that moment. But other than that, like I wouldn't really give a downvote for it because other than that, the most all the movie basically was good for CGI. Yeah, the plot. I mean, I like the plot for like the reasons why Godzilla and the mates were fighting because it makes sense. Because also it's like just way too much of the humans. We don't need this much information. I'm glad, just for like Yemmy said, I'm glad it sets up for like a better movie like from time when it gets to the third. So overall, I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, the reason, like, King of Monsters, I don't know, there was something about, like, the main human family in that one that just really, I just hated so much.
Yeah,
And you
Nelly
can,
Brown.
it kind of feeds into the third, King Kong versus Godzilla, but it's not, like, as bad because she's more in the background in that one, but, like, her acting in that was just, and, like, everything that she does in that movie just pissed me off so much. I actually think the human characters in that are worse than the ones in this one, and even in this one, they're still pretty cringe, so... I don't know. Maybe I need to watch it again. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost was gonna pick it again, or pick it because I actually ended up watching it right after I watched Godzilla.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe I would like it on a second watch, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go back to it because I think I gave it like 1 star when I originally watched it.
That's fair. But
Speaking of Tay, though,
yeah.
you got to pick for us. Unless you were gonna say something before that, I cut you off there. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I can go straight to my pick. So my pick is, get back to IMDb here, Jojo Rabbit from 2019. It's directed by Taika. I can't even talk. Taika Waititi. Written by Christine Lewins and Taika Waititi. Stars Roman Griffin Davis, Thomasin McKenzie, Scarlett Johansson, and others. That only gives me the 3. And Taika Waititi in it as well, Sam Rockwell, Rebel Wilson, Alfie Allen. And then it gets to people who no one will know if I say their names, so...
No, that's okay. Give us a synopsis there, Tay.
Yeah, the synopsis is a young boy in Hitler's army finds out his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in their home. That's the synopsis.
No, that's good. It doesn't give away too much,
Yeah.
When I remember Nick and I went to the movies, and the trailer for this came up, and Nick was like, "This looks really cringe," and I'm like, "No, this looks actually pretty interesting." And it's been on my watch list since then. And I was actually going to pick it myself next time around. So I'm excited to watch it though, because because Taika Waititi won Best Screenwriter or something like that, or Best Director at the Oscars that year, 2020 Oscars. And also he plays Adolf Hitler, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But I've heard good things about it. Like I don't think I've actually heard a negative thing about this movie, which is good.
I haven't
This
either.
is
My friend,
right?
Yeah, it's a comedy.
Yeah, it's kind of like a comedy, but I'm sure it has like more serious stuff in there too.
I think I remember why I said it looked cringe, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, there's like kids like shooting bazookas and stuff.
Yeah, that was it. Yep. He like shoots it backwards or something like that. Yeah, I remember that. All right.
But yeah, I'm excited to watch that. That's
me too.
a good pick.
See,
I've been wanting to watch it for quite a while, and my one friend keeps raving about it, so I'm like, all right, finally, I'm gonna watch it. So it's on HBO Max. That's pretty much the only place you can find it to stream it, or you can buy it on Amazon.
Let me look here, because I thought it said that you could rent it from Amazon too, but you might be right.
When I looked, the only option was buy it on Amazon.
You can also watch it on iTunes, Vudu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Well, if you don't want to be spoiled for Jojo Rabbit from 2019, make sure you watch it before the next episode in 2 weeks. That's right. We'll talk about that. And then also don't forget that the fan vote is attached to the next episode. So make sure you get your votes in on that. We'll announce the movies in the poll, of course, when that episode goes up. And then it will be the victor will be chosen during Coco's recommendation. So, make sure you get your stuff in there if you want to. And I think that just about does it. Anyone else have anything that they want to mention before we end the show?
I got nothing.
I got nothing too.
Alrighty. Well, I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I've been here with...
Pretty awful.
Taymation.
Gamer.
And we are Film Freaks with a Z. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.